Hello, welcome to the second video where I cover my Worlds run where I got to top 10. In the previous one I covered my battles against Kakuzato and Mr. Panasonic, my round 1 and 2 battles. And in this video I will be covering my round 3 and round 4 battles against IceCr1s and Pataman. Let's take a look at the matchup against IceCr1s. IceCr1s was not one of the most well-known names in the tournament, but in this tournament I underestimated no one. These are all champions. And ironically, I haven't won a single regional or international tournament so far myself. I think on paper my matchup does not look great, but people that have both Lickitung and Medicham on their roster usually play both of them in their lineup when there is a Noctowl on the opposing team. It's one of the strongest scores in the game. So this is what I was targeting during these battles. My best answer to both are Medicham and Charizard, so these were Pokemon that I wanted to bring. To tackle Altaria, I would need Dunsparce and or Stunfisk. Both of them had good matchups in general and formed good pairs with Charizard. This made it quite easy for me to form a reliable team composition. I think Stunfisk is a bit better than Dunsparce in this particular matchup, but my Dunsparce might be better to set up my backline. Leading the Dunsparce instead of Stunfisk would also avoid the mirror, and that's a matchup that I don't like because it's usually a hard loss or a really hard win. Leading the Dunsparce means that against a Medicham lead, I can quite safely switch into the Charizard, since it would be very weak to my Venusaur lead if he has both of these Pokemon in the front. The Charizard with an energy advantage is strong against everything else. If I face a Stunfisk lead, it would be better for me to stay in. People usually tend to bring Medicham against me, so it's best to bring the Stunfisk low with 2 Durons and then farm it down with Medicham or Charizard. In the matchup that Dunsparce is bad, it's only the Medicham that really has no chance against. Venusaur is decent against some of his Pokemon, but is otherwise risky to use since it loses many matchups on a slight energy disadvantage. Furthermore, I see no merit for Lantern here. I have better tools to deal with his flyers. The first game I lead my Dunsparce into the Galarian Stunfisk. It's very tempting to swap out of this because this is not a great matchup for Dunsparce. But I do get the Galarian Stunfisk quite low, and I figure it's likely Medicham in the back anyway. And like I said, Dunsparce basically can fight back against anything, even some of his worst matchups, as like Azumarill and Umbreon. But Medicham is just a no-go for Dunsparce, so I'm just deciding to stay in here and pray that I can do well on alignment here. Gonna get this Stunfisk very low. I must say I miscounted by 1 Mudshot here, so in the end maybe I could have wing attack down even with the Charizard. Though I'm not sure if this is 5 wing attack range here. I'm going to play it safe and swap into my Medicham. My Medicham seems quite good with an energy disadvantage. And this is a very smart play by IceCr1s, because besides the Dunsparce and the Galarian Stunfisk, I don't really have good answers here. Medicham probably is the other fine answer that I have here, but I will lose the 0 shields after throwing the Psychic against the Lickitung. And that's okay. At this point, I'm praying it's going to be that Medicham of his that I definitely expected, but it could very well be Altaria that I was afraid of too. Altaria would probably farm me down in the 2 shoots here, and that would not be great. That would not be great, but luckily it is the Medicham. Altaria would have made a lot of sense because he led very weak to my Medicham, right? Like a Lickitung safe switch against Medicham lead is not like convenient either. I can go straight Blast Burn here, but it doesn't really matter what I do. After a couple wing attacks in, Dragon Claw will even KO this Medicham, so I'm good here either way. I think even if he did catch, I would still win. And as you see, since I did miscount, I decided to throw here. I mean, either way, it's just best to play it safe, right? There's no reason to take any risks here in case I did count correctly. Because when he gets to a Rock Slide and takes my shield, this Medicham could potentially get to a Psychic, or even Ice Punch would KO me at this range. So, yeah, I take game 1 basically by alignment. IceCr1s basically brought the Pokemon that I expected. I was afraid of that Altaria since it would pair very well with Stunfisk and definitely with a Lickitung in between. But yeah, I was quite fortunate he did bring the Medicham here. Kind of as predicted, but not really in the lineup that I expected it to be. And, you know, maybe IceCr1s is someone who likes to take risks at these kind of tournaments. So I was definitely expecting a change from him. That didn't mean, however, that I was going to change things. So I'm likely going with a similar team composition, maybe in a different order, maybe in the same order. Let's take a look at game number 2 here. I lead my Charizard into his Lickitung. This is a very neutral matchup, but not really one I like. So I decided to wait a turn. Most players time their moves quite well. IceCr1s is one of them. And I catch the move on the Galarian Stunfisk. I decided to bring that instead of the Dunsparce. Basically because the Galarian Stunfisk is safer as a swap in, right? If they have Metagem, at least they have to throw 2 Ice Punches here. And I'm very surprised that he stays in here. I'm definitely expecting flyers at this point. No Metagem, or maybe he's predicting that I have Dunsparce in the back. So I have no idea what to expect here. I really have no idea. At this point, I'm thinking it's like double flyer. I'm just gonna go throw the next Earthquake. I run a very good Galarian Stunfisk in this tournament because it can take an Earthquake in the mirror, and it could even threaten to get to another Earthquake if my opponent tries to farm me down after hitting me with one. So that's why I run a very good Galarian Stunfisk. And IceCr1s maybe didn't really expect my Stunfisk to be this good, because this attempt to farm down leads to his downfall here. If he swaps in the Metagem to gather energy on my Stunfisk, he actually would be in a really good spot now, because I would have to bring my own Charizard into his Metagem. He could take a shield, and my Metagem will be on his Charizard. And now this only leaves my Metagem space to gather energy and do something. Otherwise, it would be useless against like his Charizard. He's going for an Earthquake. That makes sense. I have to throw energy at some point, but IceCr1s makes another mistake here, and I'm not really calling him out on anything of this. This is like, you're under a lot of pressure when you're playing on this stage. He just basically wants to chip me, and I'm guessing wants to get a farm down. But because he throws a Rock Slide there, he's not pressuring me to throw energy into the Stunfisk, and I can just farm down. He goes for a Dranclaw. I think this is a smart play because it forces me to use a shield. I will be using that shield because I have 100 energy. And I might be able to get to another Psychic here if I wanted to. But I see my clock is almost up, and I know I'm almost at a Blast Burn because I caught the move on the Galarian Stunfisk on exactly 6 wing attacks. So I'm one of a Blast Burn, and I know this will do a lot of damage. It will actually take him out. After defeating IceCr1s, I now am qualified for day 2. And that means I reach top cut in every single tournament this season that I've played, including Worlds, which is very hype. Now, Pataman is really good. Let's take a look at the next matchup. The first match of day 2 started against one of the world's best, Pataman. He played only one tournament this season, which was Liverpool. That was also the first official tournament I've ever shoutcasted, so I knew very well how good he was. What I don't like about day 2 matchups is that people have a lot of time to prepare for their next battles. It pressures me to do the same. However, the internet in Yokohama was not very good for me, so I couldn't practice at all. I discussed the matchup a bit with my European friends from Stadium Elite. Some of them found my matchup okay, because Dunsparce was strong against 4 out of 6, but I disagreed. Pataman has not dropped a single match on day 1, and that's because he knows how to play out of matchups like these. He's been playing this team for months. I knew that Pataman really likes Altaria. I don't think it's super strong against my team, but it was very easy for him to set it up. He could lead Lickitung or Sableye, and if he leads into the Dunsparce with that, he knows I would never have Stunfisk in the back. I saw his strategy coming from miles. It was simple, yet effective, and something I may have done myself. The key components to this matchup were difficult to find. I'm not eager to use Metagem in a matchup where the opposing Sableye is strong. The Charizard may have been mandatory because I expected Metagem in every single battle. It also fights back well against the Altaria and Lickitung. I also like Lantern for this matchup, as it has many neutral matchups across the board. Lickitung and Stunfisk are difficult, but it can take hits from Altaria and Metagem easily. It could be the helping hand that I would need to make Charizard succeed. For my first battle, I tried to be unpredictable. I think leading Dunsparce would have been too easy to call. I don't know for sure what to use, but Charizard will always be there. So my first game against Pataman, I lead my Metagem into Lickitung, and I'm quite surprised about this because this is not really what I expected. Like I said, I expected something like Sableye lead with an Altaria on the back, so I'm actually quite pleased with this. It still could be that Sableye in the back, but once he lets my first attack through, which is the Psychic, I already have a good feeling of what's going to be in the back, and I cannot afford to lose switch here, but I also know what that's going to mean. once I let switch go. So ideally, maybe the play was here to let him get more licks in, so he gets less farm on the Medicham. Because that's exactly what I was expecting, trying to get so much farm on the Medicham. He told me beforehand that he was quite prepared for this, and I really hated hearing that. Maybe the play here was to go double Ice Punch. Not sure if that does more than one Psychic, but it was very likely he was going to shield one of these to maintain the health on his Medicham, because it's also likely that I might have a Dunsparce or a Stunfisk in the back. I bring in my Charizard here and making a choice. I mean, he gets 2 Psychics anyway, so I decide to shield the first one. Maybe my play was not to, but I think there may have been more play here, and I'm very much contemplating to catch this next Psychic here, but I decide not to. Maybe that was the play, because the Charizard could have had very much use still, right? At this health range with some Wing Attack. With some Wing Attack still, and this Medicham is going to get so much damage in. Unfortunately, he tries to get the charge attack priority with me on the Ice Punch, but I don't fall on it. On the Earthquake, sorry. He tries to get the CMP there. I don't fall for that. I wait a turn here to see if he tries to catch it or not. I already know it's Altaria on the back, and my Stunfisk, despite being a very good answer here, I still need 3 Rock Slides at this point, and that's not going to happen here. I lose this first battle, and the most disappointing thing about this is that I already knew what he was doing. I already knew before the battle something like this was gonna happen, even though it was not with Sableye. How do I adapt to this? Is he going to do the same thing again since it's so good against me? I don't know. There are 4 Pokemon of his that I very much expect on this team, and they can be used in any order basically. I had alignment here and I still couldn't make it. I guess I'm going to try and play my own game rather than trying to prevent his, because clearly I couldn't. In game number 2, I lead my predictable lead that I thought I was predictable, the Dunsparce. And at this point, I'm very much afraid of the Galarian Stunfisk in the back, because as you can see, my team is not strong against it. Both Lantern and Charizard struggle there. Lantern and Dunsparce are good at getting it low, but I have like no false move pressure on it. Pataman tries to make a catch there, but I'm quite good at predicting when my opponents try to catch, so he's unable to. Unfortunately, my switch is quite slow, so he's able to get to a potential Psychic before I get to my Blast Burn, and I'm going to get the CMP here on this Ice Punch. He actually decides to shield, which is, I guess, a smart shield, because you know, if you've seen me play, you know me well enough. I'm not going to Dragon Claw there. And I guess he wants to get my last shield here, so I decide to shield that. And I'm not sure if I could have farmed down here. Maybe I could have get him so low that I could have gotten shield kill even. But I decided not to take the risk. One thing that I learned from many tournaments that I've played is don't take risks. And here I'm actually lucky, I'll admit. I had a 1-turn lag at the start, and it helped me not fire off this Dragon Claw. In hindsight, I don't think it mattered, because then another Surf with the Sparks would have KO'd here. I swap immediately. I see no reason to let myself get farmed down, because the Sableye would be very dangerous. I think Pataman was hoping for a Medicham in the back, but I brought Lantern because it's better to soak damage, and it does quite well against Altaria and Medicham and Sableye. He brought all 3 of them, so it's quite good. He tries to catch a move again. I know I lose CMP there, so I didn't see a reason to throw immediately. And he actually swaps an Altaria. I run also a very good Lantern. And thank God I did, because I lived this. I think I should not have gotten this Thunderbolt. And I undercharged a little bit here, so I can get two Durons in case he might be able to live this Duron and get to a return. But yeah, there are specific reasons why I run the Lantern, reasons that I don't want to mention here for future strategies. But I recommend a good one over attack breakpoints. For some reason, he went incredibly strong against my Medicham this time. I'm not sure if that was his plan or because he could just run those Pokemon in any order reliably. Luckily, I led my Dunsparce, which is a soft core breaker to Altaria and Sableye. It helped tearing his plan apart. Finally, I felt more confident in my matchup now. I was the first to take a game from Pataman. I had a very strong feeling he would go back to his original reliable plan that he had prepared. But it's still a gamble. The judges told me to hurry up on my team decision, and I ended up using the same team. And I may have predicted it right here. I lead my Dunsparce into the Lickitung, which is honestly even not that great of a matchups. The body slam is just a way better charge attack here that the Lickitung has. But I have neutral rollouts. It has been a little bit buffed. It's a little bit better, maybe. I don't even know. But I do win the 0 shields here. So if Pataman decides to go for the same strategy, he would have to invest at least 1 shield here. I believe Lickitung, but that may have been before the rollout buff, wins the 1 shields here. But it loses the zeros very closely. And in that case, the Medicham would get very little farm. So I feel much safer with my Charizard here. The one thing I really am afraid of, though, again, is Galarian Stunfisk. But he never really brought it against me. And I don't understand why, when he's pressuring my Medicham quite hard with his Sableye and Altaria. Those were very good against me too. So it's a little bit confusing to me. Maybe that's a read he did not make. The only thing I have to do here is make sure I throw on unpredictable timing so he doesn't catch my move, because that's something he likes to do. I throw Rock Slide here in case he tries to catch on Altaria. That's basically what I was afraid of, because I was quite sure it was Altaria. In fact, the same line again. He has 3 counts advantage, which is basically fine, and he's going to throw an Ice Sponge immediately to pull my shield, which I'm actually going to do just in case I need Charizard to be healthy later. This still does like 40%. In comes Altaria, and you know, I saw some questions in the chat on Twitch. Why do I not throw my Dragon Claw there? That's because I don't want the timer to be misaligned here. I want to be able to swap at the same time he can, and I don't want him to be able to catch a move later, because Pataman is very good at that. I win the 0 shields here, so I'm quite fine. I will not shield this. Charizard is my key to winning, but Lantern can put in a lot of work here. I get the attack drop, it does not matter. I will get to another attack on the Medicham regardless of this KO or not. And Pataman is just no shielding everything, which kind of surprises me. I'm guessing he really wanted energy on that Medicham. In fact, he even stopped tapping a little bit in between with the Altaria, so he gets more farm with the Medicham, but it only leads me to get to a Thunderbolt. I think otherwise I would have gone to a Surf, and I don't think he would get to Ice Punches regardless. So that's how I win this battle, and I'm very happy with that. As you can see, I'm very much cheering there. I'll give him a hug, but this was the start of a rough day for Pataman, because he would go 0-2 on day 2. After my win against Pataman, I really thought this might be the tournament that I actually win, the World Championship. Unfortunately, in the next 2 rounds, this went totally wrong. Spoiler alert, by the way. And it's always good to reflect on those mistakes, though. So I will be doing that in the next video. Since I'm still a little bit sick, I will expect this to take about 3 or 4 days. Hope you liked the video, and see you in the next one. Bye.